Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Today, Chicago, crisis, chaos, the patron demons of the radical left liberal party. Everywhere they go, everything they stand for, their politics, their platform, their policies, it breeds crisis. It breeds chaos. Don't be fooled by the PR makeover being given that party by Hollywood producers and directors. It is a party and a ticket of terror. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. You've seen it for the last 3.5 years. We're going to look at it today, and I'm going to show you precisely what they do to create the chaos. And then they have the audacity to mock us by claiming they're the party of joy and happiness. Abject BS, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll show you why. Today, The Right Side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey, everybody. My name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout-out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right Side with Doug Billings, Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and his divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks very much, I must say, for watching and hanging out with me. We are in this shoulder to shoulder, standing together to save the Republic from the Commune Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. Hey, before I begin today, come and join me, won't you? Think about joining us in Branson, Missouri, September 27th and 28th. September 27th and 28th, my Determined Patriotism Conference. You can go to determinedpatriotismconference.com and get ticket information over there. We're going to go out on Friday night, see a Branson show, Saturday night, have a dinner, and then on Friday and Saturdays, we're going to see some of the top-tier conservative podcasters and speakers in the country. The Determined Patriotism Conference, Branson, Missouri, September 27th and 28th. And it's a long website, determinedpatriotismconference.com. I'll see you over there and get some tickets today. They're going fast. Only 500 available, by the way. We want these things to be somewhat small on purpose, so there's a sense of intimacy that you can meet all of the speakers, get autographs and pictures if you want them. Very affordable price for the 2 days, $135 or so, and it is going to good causes throughout the country. All right, determinedpatriotismconference.com. Don't forget to head over there. Today, folks, this week, it is it. The Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. You hear me say that all the time. What these guys stand for, what they mean, what their politics, their platform, their policies put forth. Democrats offer nothing but chaos. Hey, I wonder if that's what the DNC stands for. Democrats, nothing but chaos. I mean, it could be there. It could be everywhere they go. Everything that results from their very existence results in chaos and crisis. And in fact, if there's not chaos and crisis, they go out of their way to start it, to create it. From Kamala Harris and the Biden administration, she cannot divorce herself from what's happened in these last 3.5 years. She can't claim that she's just the vice pretender. I'm just the vice pretender. Nothing that Joe did is my fault. No. She owns it all. And the chaos that has followed and resulted, look, no matter what the legacy jackwagons on social media say, this is not a period of joy and happiness, and they don't represent joy and happiness. They represent crisis, chaos. That's them. They are a ticket of terror. Tim Walz, you all know this. Minnesota, burning to the ground, right? Minneapolis doesn't do anything to stop the anarchy, the riots, the looting, the rape, the murder, and by virtue of his inaction, blood on his hands. I mean, it doesn't surprise us. He withdrew from Afghanistan once he knew he was going to be sent over there, and he withdraws from the chaos, the crisis in Minnesota, because he can't deal with it there either. Kamala Harris, in the meantime, sets up funding mechanisms so that the arsonists and anarchists that are by chance and off chance arrested are let out early on bail. So you'll notice that the violence and the chaos and the crisis are going to be center stage this week. They will do their best to highlight Joe Biden tonight and Barack Obama later in the week, Kamala Harris, of course. But it will be the violence that has descended down upon Chicago that gets center stage, and rightly so. There is this present darkness that surrounds the liberal movement. It's part of the reason why I sometimes in jest will tell you liberals are not good-looking people. Conservatives are happier, more joy-filled, and we are more we're better looking. But look, the truth about this is that the joy and happiness has been robbed from us. And this is not a laughing matter. This is really not a time to exude joy and happiness. This is a time to get to work, because the destruction and the chaos that have been brought about by the policies, the platform, and the politics that are represented by Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are real. And this present danger must be addressed. There'll be a time for joy and happiness later once we resolve the nightmare that has been cast upon us by the radical liberal party. When your politics, when your platform, and when your policies do nothing but propagate crisis and chaos, those such things are going to follow you. And so they have this week into Chicago. The radical left, this commu-socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, has tried to co-opt the words joy and happiness. We're not going to let them do it. They have attempted to co-opt the rainbow, remember, for the LGBTQ kook movement. We're not going to let them do this. They can't co-opt what is real and what is meant to be. And they do that when they talk about joy and happiness. They do it behind the veil of fake smiles and contrived enthusiasm. There is cynicism, and ultimately it's the reality of the terror. Yeah, terror that they have inflicted upon America for the last 3.5 years. So all of these smiles and giggles and cackles, buying bags of chips at grocery stores, make no mistake about it. The current administration, the decisions, and the nightmare in which we reside belongs to Kamala Harris. She bears the full mantle of this tragedy, of this nightmare. In any normal circumstances, the Vice President of the United States is a co-equal partner with the President in terms of policy, platform, and politics. The policies, the platforms, and the politics of this current administration are equally owned by Biden and Harris. The President and Vice President in normal situations are both equally responsible for the good times and the bad times. And there are nothing but bad times surrounding us now. And these are not typical times, obviously. The presidency of the United States has been bestowed upon an administrator, while the puppet masters pull the strings behind the curtain. Joe Biden has always been an administrator. He has never been the president. The vice presidency of the United States has been bestowed upon a pretender who has been bequeathed her position of nominee for president. This pretender did not earn that position. She did not win this position. The pretender did not win a primary. The pretender did not win an election. The vice pretender is a fraud. Vice Pretender Harris is now, just as she has always been, ladies and gentlemen, responsible for the undeniable and purposeful, keyword, purposeful, chaos and crisis that have resulted from the policies, the platform, and the politics that she has put forth. She can't explain them. When she speaks, all it is word salad. It's garbledygook. You can't make heads or tails out of what she says. It's precisely why they have shielded her from press conferences, because they are scattered behind the scenes, drastically, dramatically trying to give her a makeover. They have got Hollywood directors and producers hired trying to cast this thing in the light of a television show or a movie. They have got PR representatives giving personal makeovers. Hey, let's buy a bag of Doritos. Yeah, get that on film. Have all of the crew members go into this, quick shop here, and let's then have them walk in and buy a bag of corn nuts. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's cringe. Nothing has been genuine. Nothing has been organic since the day Biden stepped down. And I would put it to you, since Biden was given office. When we look at the state of the republic now, we call out the chaos. We call out the crisis. We can look at it. We know why it's there. And the radical, woke, liberal mob cannot, with any sense of credibility, blame this on Joe Biden. He's never been in charge. But you have Kamala Harris, who does have full use of her mental faculties, even though we find that hard to believe. She's not dementia-ridden, and she's been very aware of what's happened. And throughout this republic's history, the vice president is a co-equal partner with the president in the policies, the platform, and the politics that are put forth by that administration. And we will not let the radical talking heads in the legacy media, TV news stations, or on social media talk us out of that truth. The state of play in America is a tragedy. It is a nightmare, and it's been done to us on purpose. This is not a time of joy and happiness. And believe me, Americans know that the tragedy and the nightmare that we are experiencing now are directly related to everything that Vice Pretender Harris has allowed and Administrator Biden has put forth. If she's the one, if she is going to be the one to receive this commu-socialist, formerly known as Democrat, nomination for president, and since she's the current sitting vice pretender, then all of this, all of the chaos that we've seen, and we can go down a list, it all belongs to Kamala. The border crisis, key among all of the issues facing us. Only the thing second after that is the economy, the border, illegal aliens, given the right to vote, free housing, free Medicare, free education, free everything. The loss of energy independence, more crisis, a record high fentanyl death crisis that's sweeping the republic, child sex trafficking at record highs thanks to open southern borders, inflation at record highs, almost 300,000 manufacturing jobs lost to foreign countries, fuel prices sky high, federal deficits at record highs, crime rates at record highs. Defunding the police continues in spite of that statistic. Failure to prosecute with extreme prejudice violent criminals. And in the off chance that they might be prosecuted, they're given light sentences and let out early. A record number of abortions happening, the murder of human babies within the wombs of their mothers. And advocating for gender misappropriation. It's a fiction. That does not exist. It is a mental illness. And they advocate that children who believe in this fiction of gender misappropriation, the only way they can find happiness is if we let them mutilate their genitalia. This is a coalition of crisis and chaos that's been cast upon us on purpose, and Vice Pretender Harris owns it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, how's that for A block? Wow, there it is. You got me wound up. I am ready. I got to take a break. I'm ready to continue, though. We're going to lay it out on the table. Crisis, chaos, descending upon Chicago because the liberals are there. I'll be right back. Stay with me. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process, look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older. And it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch, whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyongerwithdoug.us. liveyongerwithdoug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyongerwithdoug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great. And so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
I want to tell you about the good people over at EMP Shield, electromagnetic pulse, ladies and gentlemen. It can fry your home electrical system or your vehicle's electrical system. But if you attach one of these, now this is for your breaker box at home. There's a smaller version that goes on your battery of your car, your vehicle, that will prevent it from being fried in the event of an electromagnetic pulse. Because as you know, thanks to Administrator Biden, many people coming across the border now who don't exactly have the best of intentions. Protect yourself. EMPshield.com. Get huge discounts over there if you use the promo code Doug.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, pointing out the intellectual immaturity of liberals.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. The Right Side with Doug Billings coming to you from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain here in the Republic of the United States of America. Chaos descending upon Chicago. You know, chaos, crisis, synonymous with the liberal movement in America. This, as I call them, the commune socialists, formerly known as Democrat Party, chaos. Everywhere they go, everything they stand for. And you know full well that the chaos and the crisis are purposefully caused. This is not just some kind of collateral damage because of other decisions. This is part of the strategy of the radical liberal hierarchy. They want crisis and chaos to continue to descend upon us. I'm going to prove my point in a moment. And they want to be able to fool you during election seasons. This is no great secret. Many other people have said this besides me, and I know that you understand this. But I'm going to show you how this is different this time with this group who fundamentally want to transform America. And by the way, for the record, you cannot be an American patriot and believe that America needs to be fundamentally transformed. Thank you very much. God in his divine providence inspired this republic. He inspired the founding fathers to write the founding documents. It does not need to be fundamentally transformed. That is an anti-American sentiment meant to disguise the intent of doing away with American exceptionalism, doing away with America as intended by God and the founding fathers. There's no patriotism there. Zero. They have engaged public relations firms, as I said. They've got Hollywood movie producers and directors on scene. They've done this before. Hire these people to give themselves a makeover, to try to hide and cover up the chaos that they have caused, try to use new slogans and new words, and engaging in this cringy and phony joy and happiness campaign. Absolutely. Look, I mean, I hesitate to even mention this because I know that the radical liberal hierarchy, members of that elite, watch this program. They're going, and they will get ideas. But here's the thing. Let them continue to do the joy and happiness campaign. It's cringe. Everything they've done is cringe. Everything they've done is phony. There is nothing organic about what they stand for, about what happens as a result of that campaign. It is ridiculous at every level. America is in a nightmare. We're surrounded by adversity, challenge, and tragedy. And they mock us when they mention the words joy and happiness. And watch closely, because they project and they gaslight. They gaslight this entire situation, and they project everything on Trump that's going negatively. They claim that his campaign, they'll say things like, Trump is so depressing. Have you seen Trump? He's nothing but sad and angry, doom and gloom. Ladies and gentlemen, he's reflecting the truth of the state of play in America. There is no joy and happiness in America precisely because of the administration in charge. The PR representatives, the makeover experts, the Hollywood producers and directors who have been called in to be consultants for all of this are putting up and setting up Hollywood-like illusions. Tim Walz skipping across the stage at public events looking like the very image of the wussification of men. Kamala Harris and the cackle from hell. Kamala Harris, who can't utter anything except a word salad of nonsense when she's asked the question, and so therefore has been hidden away from any kind of meaningful press conference. And you have the legacy media helping. You have members of the celebrity class helping. Social media influencers helping out. Fake, demanded, contrived enthusiasm. So to help the Harris-Walz ticket of terror, as I call them, this ticket of terror, evidence of the obvious is sufficient. They don't bring joy and happiness. Nothing Kamala has done in her public life has brought joy and happiness. Nothing that Tim Walz has done has brought joy and happiness. Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota. Are you kidding me? If they think joy and happiness is giving children the ability to mutilate themselves because they believe in the fiction of gender misappropriation, then let them have that. We know the truth. If they think that joy and happiness is the ability to defund the police so that crime rates go up, and oh, by the way, we don't report and register all the crime because we want to give the impression that crime rates are going down. I mean, they're sky high, but what can we do? We've defunded the police, so we've got to come up with something, and so they lie and they don't report true crime rate. And then they publish reports that indicate that it's gone down. We see through it. They think you're stupid, ladies and gentlemen. Joy and happiness. Where within that radical liberal platform, policy, and politics can anybody point to joy and happiness? Joy and happiness, if joy and happiness is the result of murdering a baby within the mother's womb, then you can have it. And I will stand on the moral high ground with the majority of people in this country and begin to say that life is always a winning issue for us. We will not back down from it. We will create a culture of life, and we will work diligently, and we will work with determined patriotism within the states that we live to make sure that we put people in place in the elected class who will make life once again sacred in this republic. And they're always, in spite of the terror, in spite of the chaos and crisis, they put on these fake smiles and laughs and skip, like I said, across stage at their rallies that, by the way, now are attended by 600 or 700 people. The last one in a high school gymnasium, for example. But get your film crew out. Get your film crew out, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and have them stage something. Let's stage Kamala going into a quick shop and buying a bag of Doritos, and let's turn it into a big photo op, because nothing spells joy and happiness like going on a road trip and buying a bag of Doritos. You know, never mind that a lot of people that are watching this commercial can't afford to buy a bag of Doritos, and that's pretty shocking. It's pretty shocking when you have to budget $1.75 or $2 aside to get something else that you might really need. But that's the state of play in America, my friends. That's the state of play. And this commercial, this fake happiness, see if you can sense it. I'm going to show you a clip. Kamala Harris, Tim Walz going into a quick shop, buying, doing the bag of Doritos, and watch. Their camera, the press is all there. They're all set up. They're all ready to go because there's Hollywood producers and directors on the staff of the Harris-Walz campaign directing them through all of this. And you can sense the cringe, phony, non-organic nonsense a mile away. Let's roll clip number 1, Logan.
Ah, Dougie, there they are. Thank you.
I know you want those. What do you get? For beef jerky. Can I go get it?
I do, and these are, this is my go-to, the original nacho cheese.
That's good.
What do you like? What are you going to get?
Get some peanuts or cashews or something. All right, thank you, Press.
Even the men that surround the campaign are wussified. No real man in America orders cashews or peanuts when they're on a road trip, ladies and gentlemen. Can I just point that out? Isn't that cringe? The whole thing set up. Dougie, you found my Doritos. I like the original, not the cheese. The Secret Service in the background, suits and ties. Oh, yeah. It just reeks of normalcy, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? So go ahead, run the commercials, have the Hollywood producers and directors engage in this kind of nonsense. Meanwhile, we'll have President Trump talking the truth and in serious tones without the BS nonsense of fake joy and happiness, because we are not surrounded by those things yet. We have not been blessed by those things in over 3.5 years. So excuse us while Trump is very serious-minded, although he jokes sometimes and he pushes your buttons, and we get it, and we love to watch you overreact. It's good that he can live in your head free of charge. But all of this with Kamala, with Tim, it's fake, it's written, it's scripted. Just like the fake enthusiasm that we've seen for the past 30 days on social media and within the legacy TV news market. It's all faked, it's all contrived, and by the way, it's demanded by the radical left liberal hierarchy elites. You must get on the television, you've got to get on social media, you've got to act like you're enthused. We've painted ourselves into this DEI corner, we can't fire her. We've sensed it for the past 30 days. They are fooling no one. Their smiles, the talk of happiness and joy, all of us being mocked all along the way, made fun of. Because while they say those words of joy and happiness, it's their actions that I look at over the last 3.5 years, and it's their actions that have driven America into a nightmare such as that she has never seen before. And I am enraged about that. We will bring joy and happiness back the way that conservatives do, through life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness based on freedom and liberty, not because of free money, entitlements, and the vast millions of people coming into this country who, according to the liberal mob, want to dilute the very identity of America herself. We will retrieve joy and happiness, but for the time being, there's a lot of work to do, and we're up to task. We are up to task. There have been, in my opinion, lots of people who have seen and understood what I'm talking about here. Millions upon millions of Generation Z voters, for example, kids, young adults who have seen the chaos, the crisis, and they don't want any part of it. And by the multiple millions, they're coming over to the right side. In Chicago, word among all demographic groups, and I mean words are important, all demographic groups, white, brown, black, Asian, Latino, Hispanic, all of them, women, men, are telling us that the top two issues for this election season are crime and the economy. Okay, this is just in Chicago. I said earlier that the border is the number one overall issue throughout the country, and it is. But in Chicago, what people are talking about are crime and the economy. Makes sense. Now, you could make a case that crime is related to the border crisis because the illegals are coming up and making a mess of things as well. But it also is tied to the policies, the platform, the politics of defunding the police. So there's nothing to smile about in Chicago. There is no joy and happiness in Chicago. Not with regards to those two issues anyway. And more reports coming out of Chicago are that the vast majority of people being surveyed and spoken with are glad that Chicago has the spotlight of the DNC shown upon it, because they're hopeful that that light will point out the truth, that Chicago is a cesspool of crime and of chaos and crisis. And you've seen it already. The riots, the looting, already beginning. Tell me when, if ever, other than when Democrats arrive in town, business owners shut down their businesses and board up their windows for fear of the Democratic Party constituency. The people who always show up and descend upon town when these people come in. Look, these people, this commie socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, do not benefit human lives. They do not benefit us. They bring nothing but grief, nightmare, chaos. And voters in Chicago and around the Republic know it. They're beginning to wake up to it all. And they know that they're not going to play the game. And this is important, too. And it doesn't get reported in the legacy news. Identity politics. People in Chicago are saying clearly and loudly that they're not playing that game anymore. They're not going to vote for a candidate only because of race or gender or party. What they're looking and they're seeing and what they're telling us is that this commie socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, is completely and utterly counterproductive and only continues to escalate crime and crash the economy. And that's what people are saying. That's what people are seeing. You've seen it for the last 3.5 years. And it's good to see them say it out loud. And this is why demographic groups are coming. Now, there is a thing called response bias, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to polls. Response bias is basically going to a group of Democrats and asking, hey, which of these two people are you going to vote for, Trump or Harris? And the Democrats are going to say Harris. So they'll post all of these nonsensical polls. Don't become complacent and don't lose heart. Continue to do the hard work of getting out there. The polls are not accurate, and what they put out there is almost always contrived. You look at the chaos that you see, and you scratch your head and you wonder, how could anybody vote for this? Be relieved. No one's voting for it. All right, I'm up against another break. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, the Determined Patriotism Conference. I'd like you to please head over to determinedpatriotismconference.com and consider joining us in Branson, Missouri, September 27th, September 28th. Friday and Saturday, September 27th, 28th, Branson, Missouri. See myself. I'm going to host this thing. We're going to have some of the best presenters, speakers in America on conservative topics to motivate and inspire and educate us. And we will talk about real joy and real happiness, how we make that happen through American traditional values, the belief in the divine providence of God, and the intent of the founding fathers. Grab your tickets. All right, over there. Look at that. Beautiful. DeterminedPatriotismConference.com for tickets. All right, I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take your phone calls and more when I get back with you after this. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview. We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. WorldviewTalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, where we meet in determined prayer and determined patriotism.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me. You are a blessing, and I appreciate you. And I want you to know we meet, you and I, every day. We meet in determined prayer and determined patriotism. I appreciate what you do and what you represent. I know that you sense the nightmare and you see the things going on in this country, and it sickens you. And you're wondering, what are you going to do? Not just for yourselves, but for your families. There is great hope in spite of the nightmare. I mean, the good news about nightmares really ultimately is that everybody wakes up from nightmares, and America is not on her deathbed. So when I talk about the doom and gloom that this commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, brings forth, I want you to know that I also realize there is hope, and that hope resides in we the people. There are far more of us than there are of them. And also, because of the chaos and the crisis that they wield and that they breed and that they bring upon us, multiple millions of people who may have voted for Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris are now going to vote for Trump in this election cycle because they don't want the chaos and the crisis to continue. So there's that hope as well. So part of the way I get this message out is that I come to you Monday through Friday right here, worldviewtube.com, on YouTube, on X, Facebook, Rumble, on my website, dougbillings.us, and we share the pursuit of truth together. I'm asking you to prayerfully consider heading over to the website, dougbillings.us, and consider setting up a monthly recurring donation over there. It's how I provide the show, produce the show, get it out, and make a living. I'm a one-man operation. I don't charge you for the show. The show is always free. Never going to charge you for it. But it would be grateful and it would be very helpful so that we can continue to bring you the show if you would prayerfully consider heading over to that website, dougbillings.us, and setting up a monthly recurring donation, whatever you can afford. And I know Bidenomics and so forth, I know it's tight. I was in corporate America until 4 years ago when all of this was thrust upon us, and it's a completely new experience for me as well. And I appreciate you helping. And like I said, we stand together, shoulder to shoulder, in all of this. And Chicago, Democrat National Convention, that's the topic. That's what we're talking about. When we're talking about crime, like people are in Chicago, when people are, reporters and folks on our side are asking the residents of Chicago, what's going on, what's on your mind, and they talk about crime. The ones that the people in Chicago usually always say the same kinds of things that people across the country are saying. And it's especially true about violent crime. They're seeing a rise in violent crime. And I know the radical liberals will say, they'll put out lies and they'll say crime is actually going down. The crime rates are down. That's a lie, ladies and gentlemen. Crime rates are sky high. What's going down is the reporting of crime. They're not reporting it. And so it looks like the numbers are going down, especially violent criminals. Those are a real problem. Gun violence is a real problem. And it's a motivating factor among the left because whenever gun violence happens, believe me, there's a liberal celebration somewhere. And it sounds, that sounds pure evil, doesn't it? Doug, you're saying that they're celebrating gun violence, that they want gun violence? What other conclusion can I draw? Because they certainly aren't prosecuting with extreme prejudice these people who are guilty of gun violence. They're not using the laws on the books. Instead, whenever a shooting happens, it's we need more laws. We need more gun control. That's nonsense. That is a lie, ladies and gentlemen. There are more than enough laws on the books to curtail gun violence. We will never be able to eradicate it, ever. We've got to realize that as well. We live in a free society, and there's always kooks in free societies. And so we'll never be able to get rid of it completely, but we can certainly dent it, and we can curtail it if we would enforce with extreme prejudice the laws that are on the books. But the liberals, you see, don't do it. And Kamala Harris makes a big deal about her days as a district attorney and a prosecutor, and she prosecutes criminals and this and that. Nonsense. The record of hers is exactly the opposite. And in fact, every liberal prosecutor, district attorney, or state's attorneys general in blue states who are liberals have the same kind of record. They very rarely prosecute with extreme prejudice violent criminals, especially gun criminals. I can tell you stories where people who are in jail on gun charges are let out early, and they go out and create more and cause more crime. They don't keep criminals in jail for their full sentences. They let them out early, and oftentimes much, much earlier than they should be. They're given light sentences, not heavy, full force sentences. What other conclusion can we draw than to say they want violence to continue? Look at everything they've done. It is so frustrating. I sit here and I know that I've said this time and time again, but I feel we've got to get this message out. Policies, platform, politics. Look at the liberal left and what those three elements have done to the country in the last 3.5 years. And you see it in Chicago tonight on center stage: violence, anarchy, riots, arson, looting. Kamala Harris pretends that she was a prosecutor, just like she pretends that she's vice president. She says that she locked up criminals. She dealt with crime and had success against it. And what I'm telling you is not only based on Kamala Harris and her results, if you can call them that, as a prosecutor. What I'm about to say applies to all liberal prosecutors across this country. They want violence. I want to be clear. They want violence, and they want especially gun violence. Why is that? How could that be, Doug? Oh my gosh, that's really... Because every time something like that happens, it allows them to open the door to talk about more laws that wouldn't do any good and grabbing the guns. I mean, look at the record. Let it speak for itself. The liberal record. Prosecutors, district attorneys, states attorneys generals across the nation, as I said, they do not prosecute criminals with extreme prejudice. They do not give maximum sentences. They do not let violent criminals serve their sentences. Instead, they let them out early. They do not use the laws that are already there on the books. Plenty of them, by the way. They gaslight us by saying, we need tougher gun laws, and then they turn around and let them out early. They advocate for defunding the police. How does that help? And then they'll allow anarchists to come into their states, these radical blue governors and attorneys generals, and district attorneys and prosecutors. Attention, aisle 9, Governor Tim Walz, letting the entire city of Minneapolis burn down while you did nothing. Oh, but they don't want to cause chaos. They don't want to bring crisis into the picture. No. They'll sit around and do nothing for 3 or 4 days until they finally take action. But during those 3 or 4 days, plenty of chaos and crisis has occurred. Burning of the city has occurred. Their message has been delivered. They want violence because it can further their liberal left narrative of trying to grab guns and trying to convince people that it's the government that can swoop in and help you. It is beyond malfeasance. It is immoral. And so I put it to you, when the liberals don't prosecute and when they let out these criminals early, they give light sentences, what other conclusions are we supposed to draw, ladies and gentlemen? Liberals want violence in America. Border issue. Look at what these criminals are doing to us. Killing us, raping, murder. They don't want violence. They don't want chaos. We can't go to the grocery store and buy eggs, bread, bacon, anything of substance. We can't buy food anywhere for the price that we used to. Many people can't afford it all. And this is what the people in Chicago are talking about. And that is good news. It's not good news that they're experiencing all of this chaos, but it's good news that they're talking about it. And it's terrific news that when they talk about it, they identify the root cause of it as the policies, the platform, and the politics of the radical left communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. That's wherein lies our hope. People waking up to that truth. Will enough people wake up before this November 5th in the election? I do not know. But they are waking up in vast numbers. You can count on that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Determined Patriotism Conference, September 27th and 28th, Branson, Missouri. Lots of Tier 1 Patriot speakers. It's a 2-day information, educational, and motivational experience right before the election. Going to help us get ready for that. We're going to have a little bit of fun on Friday night, go to a Branson show, have a dinner together as we end the conference on Saturday night. And in between, some of the best speeches you're going to hear. Branson, Missouri, head over to determinedpatriotismconference.com. Determinedpatriotismconference.com. I'd love to see you and meet you in Branson, Missouri. I'll be right back right after this break. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHousebg.com.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, pointing out the intellectual immaturity of liberals.
Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks very much for being with us today. DougBillings.us is your destination if you want to help me continue to bring you the show. DougBillings.us. The show is always free, ladies and gentlemen. I never charge you for it. But I do ask that you prayerfully consider heading over there, making a recurring monthly donation to the program. DougBillings.us. I appreciate it. We stand together. Hey, the people in Chicago are speaking. The people in Chicago are talking hope and change away from this radical, purposeful chaos and crisis that we've seen. They are telling us loud and clear that they believe that conservative Republican policies, platforms, and politics are the betterment or for the betterment of the country. They believe that the conservative movement is the right movement to eliminate the chaos and the crisis that we've seen since Kamala Harris has been in office. And other issues on the peripheral of all of these people, you know, crime and economy, the number 1 and 2 issues in Chicago, education, Traditional family values coming up in the surveys and the people that we're talking to on the streets. American businesses, also a concern, and patriotism in general. I said earlier in the show, Democrats cannot claim to be patriots. They can't claim it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Doug, you've got to be more welcoming. You've got to start bringing people together and it's not me being divisive. No one who can claim or who does claim that America needs to be fundamentally transformed can be an American patriot. America does not need to be fundamentally transformed. Now, we can talk about and disagree on how, for example, we can make America energy independent again and the best methods and methodologies to do that. We can come to agreement on those things. But if someone's going to tell me that America needs to be fundamentally transformed, that person is not an American patriot. Can't be. It's impossible. These are the things that are important to Americans. And in Chicago, this is what they're telling us. Conservative Republican values and the conservative Republican movement, including the MAGA movement, thank you very much, represents the real and sustainable pathways to the joy and happiness that we want, but that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have circumvented. They have absolutely circumvented and co-opted the way to joy and happiness. And what joy and happiness mean? Photo ops, Hollywood productions and directions, rebranding, renaming, smiling and skipping across the stage is not real, sustainable happiness and joy. It's cringe. It's phony. And so it does us, I think it does us good to take a look at what's happening on these streets. Now, it does us good to see the violence. The violence is not good, but it does us good to see it because we understand that's a problem. And we can't begin to solve problems unless we can see them and identify them. Violence that follows this Communist Socialist Party is a problem. And we've got to begin to work away from it. And so you will see violence. You'll see it at the convention. You'll see it on the streets. And I wouldn't want to be, I personally, walking in those streets after a convention, after the day's events to my hotel room. No, thank you. Couldn't pay me. It's a different scene. It's a different scene opposed to the millions of things that we saw that went right during the Republican National Convention. A highlight and a showcase of family, not just the Trump family, but American families, children, grandparents, fathers, mothers, real women, real men, godly values, the intent of the founding fathers. Imagine that during the Republican National Convention, businesses didn't have to shut down early and board up their windows. The Democratic National Convention is surrounded in chaos and crisis, figuratively and literally. Riots, looting, arson, anarchy. All of the ingredients that are part of everything that this Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, stands for and what they represent. The values that a person has, the values that an organization has, brings about a manifestation of those values. If you value chaos and crisis, you will manifest chaos and crisis. Show me one example of joy and happiness that Kamala and Tim Walz have created in their political lives as a result of their policies, their politics, and their platform. I mean, the difference between the two groups couldn't be more diverse. I mean, for goodness sakes, even Republicans versus Democrats. I mean, my gosh, we have good manners. Imagine when we gather, things are okay. When liberals gather, there's rioting, looting, murder, rape. Statues are toppled. Businesses are burned. Pallets of bricks are delivered to street corners so that they can be thrown through storefront windows. Cars are set on fire. Police are attacked. Chaos, crisis, anarchy. Whenever Democrats gather, every one of those things is brought forth. When you begin, I mean, think about it. At its core of their policies, their platform, their politics. When you begin to eliminate God and his divine providence from society, and you begin to ignore and attempt to transform the original intent of the founding fathers away from the Constitution, it's impossible for you to find joy and happiness. Yet that's exactly what the Democrat Communist Socialist Party is attempting to do. I mean, it's like you watch overseas, right? When you see the radical Islamic terrorist who is being interviewed, and he admits to you, I'm no longer a terrorist, but let me tell you what it was like on the inside. So you've got this whistleblower interview, right, with this former terrorist, and he will tell you that the terrorists and the people around the world who want to do harm are always cheering for the liberal movement in America to win. Not that the radical terrorists believe in the liberal woke mindset. They do not. They will kill people who possess and are part of the radical liberal movement if they stumbled into their countries, right? But you know that they like these people because liberals are weak-minded and they're intellectually immature. They can be easily swayed and brainwashed. Terrorists are afraid of conservatives because they are moral and we have principles that we will not compromise. Conservatives are not easily controlled or brainwashed. Meanwhile, liberals have no values. They have no morality. They have no principles. They can be compromised at any given moment. You'll never see a single Islamic terrorist who would want Trump to be in office, but you'll see all of them want Harris in office. They will always give their vote, even if it's a figurative one, to the people on the radical left, those whose policies, platform, and politics encourage the pride movement, the woke agendas, and the LGBTQ kook community. And in reality, the Islamics are against gays. They're against homosexuality. They're against the transgender movement. They'll kill you if they find you. But they want the liberal left to take power in this country because it knows that it's moral decline that is the ending of America. They want Kamala Harris. They want Tim Walz. Look at people like Ilhan Omar. She's trying to advocate abortion is health care. Killing babies in the mother's womb is fine. My body, my choice, all of that. Never mind. She's a Muslim, ladies and gentlemen, and she would never herself ever have an abortion. She would never advocate that any Muslim kills a Muslim baby inside of a Muslim mother's womb. Yet she says to everyone else, kill the babies, kill them. Meanwhile, we're going to populate the country, the city, the state, wherever. Notice it. The Islamic radical extreme can give us a lesson in this regard. I mean, it's what they've done. Look at the UK. Look at Spain and Germany, France. Happening all over, happening in Detroit right now and other places in Ohio. Because in the minds of the radical liberal Islamic extremists, the weak-minded woke agenda is perfect for them. Convince America to give up on God, to give up on the intent of the founding fathers that was rooted in the divine providence of God. And therefore and thereby you begin your pathway to America falling. That's just one example of the mindset around the world about what people want. The bad guys, they want the liberals in charge. Believe me. And in America, we have a lot of work to do to reclaim her to the divine providence of God and the intent of the founding fathers. Take a good look this week at what happens in Chicago, both on the streets and on that stage, and listen closely. And keep in mind that they are going to lie this week, and they're going to lie bigly. Think of instead and juxtapose again what they say this week against what they've done for the last 3.5 years, and draw your conclusions based on wisdom with a capital W that comes to you from God. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to about do it for me. I do want to encourage you to consider coming and to join us in September 27th and 28th in Branson, Missouri, the Determined Patriotism Conference. I'll be hosting it. Some of America's top tier speakers and patriots right there. Branson, Missouri, September 27th and 28th. It's Monday. Have a good week. I will see you tomorrow. God bless you. Believe it for the Republic. Cheers.